All right, we're live. Hello and welcome everyone to the fourth Meet Your Maker. I'm joined by Louis Martin, who is the creator of Eaglefreik, the cinematographer and director, which is an award-winning short film that was actually shown as part of the Fans Youth Film Festival last year. The way this show works is you get to watch the film, you can comment your questions, and we'll be answering them and doing a questionnaire with Louis afterwards. So yeah, do you have anything to say before we play the video? Or
Yeah, this is my 2019 short. We shot it with no budget. Just me and a friend went out to an island, and yeah, here it is. Hope you enjoy.
Sweet, yeah. So let's play it. Oh, there.
What the fuck is that?
Hey!
All right, so that was Eaglefreik by Louis Martin, who we have with us right now. Just a reminder, you can ask questions about what you just watched in the comment section of wherever you're watching from, and we'll be able to answer them here. Before that, though, we're going to start from the very beginning, and I was just wondering how it was that you got into filmmaking in the first place.
Uh, God, a few different ways, I suppose. I'd like many folk. I don't know. Just enjoyed it. You know, like when we were younger, I remember like the early YouTube days. Everyone kind of thought, "Oh, how fun would it be? Just like you can upload whatever in a way." And just doing some stuff with my friends, trying to make ourselves laugh really all the time. And so just from there, I've just always really enjoyed it, and I wasn't really good at anything, and then it was something that I felt like, okay, at least this I enjoy, so I'm going to work on a lot, and but always really enjoyed it, and there's never been like much question for me. I love it.
Have you done any like courses or anything, or is it purely just you've enjoyed it, so you've sort of learned it yourself, or how's that gone
I
down?
have now. Yeah, I did do 2 years at college at Aberdeen College, and then 2 years at Napier. But before that, it started when I was 12. My first thing was there was something called We Are Northern Lights that I saw, and that was something that there was like a People's Choice section that I wanted to go for. So I made a video about my granda. I made it for his birthday originally about how he's a zombie secretly, and we got secret footage of him. So he didn't realize we were filming the whole thing, so it was like a big surprise. And from there, we were trying to trick my granda into looking like he was a zombie, which was quite easy actually.
What a great birthday gift!
Yeah, and so I suppose that was like one of the first things that I got into. But yeah, I've done a couple of courses since then, but it's what you do in the outside of courses that really helps, and then they kind of coincide, I suppose.
Was Eaglefreik made outside a course? That was just a personal thing, or?
Yeah. Eaglefreik was. I'd liked the idea of it, and when you go across the Fourth Road Bridge, you see this little island on the side, and I thought, oh, it'd be great to film something there. And so yeah, that was outside the course. I just thought, what to do it. So.
You just went there and made it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you have any problems making it? Any tales from the creation?
Oh, of course, there's always some.
Yeah.
So like for the robot, we thought, we'll get a remote control car, drive him by, it'll be easy, it'll look like he's alive and stuff like that. Of course, when the remote control car arrived, because I got it online, it was way smaller than I thought, and we wanted to drive about on sand, and it worked a wee bit, but we ended up using some string and a mixture of string and remote control. But there was that. There was lighting. Because
it all natural lighting. Or,
yeah. Usually I like to. Yeah. Usually I like, especially if obviously you're indoors, it's much easier to rig everything up. But for this one, it was all natural. Apart from the shot, the wide, where it's slightly on the jib goes down the wide when he's setting up. That had a little bit of an accent from an LED, but everything else was natural. Yeah.
Was it a single day you went out to film it, or?
It was one weekend, and then on the Sunday of the first weekend, the lighting was too strong. It was too bright, and like we tried to minimize it with like flagging and whatnot, but we just decided it would be better because we'd really like the end. We kind of shot it chronologically just because we had the whole space to ourselves, and we thought we might as well. But so yeah, ended up being 3 days because I looked over the footage and I thought, fuck it. Well, actually, it was 4 days technically because I'd done one cut where originally the shot where he puts the radio down, we'd brought a Wi-Fi router. I thought, oh, that looks like a radio, and then I showed the folk, and they were like, "Why is he putting down a Wi-Fi router?" So I went back to the island just for that one shot, and yeah, so 4 days, I guess technically. Yeah.
So we have actually got a few comments coming in already, and I'm going to jump to one because it was actually my next question. Is because something that I think is very noticeable is the sound design in it, the sound design of the robot, the music as well. And I was just wondering, how did you go about creating the sound design for this? Oh, look, we've got it on our screen. Wow.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, the sound design was mostly Foley, which was me with a remote control car with a microphone going like this and just trying to get the best sounds of it. And also, yeah, just various sounds, Foley sounds. I can't remember all of them, but a lot of them were me just like clacking things to get like him going like that and stuff like that. A mixture of, well, also one thing was, like Brio trains, like the little trains.
Oh yeah.
One of those was me like rubbing it like that. So yeah, mostly Foley. And the soundtrack was by Blythefield, who is an artist who I loved the whole time, and I emailed them being like, "Oh, can I use this?" And I was really lucky. And
They just let you? You reached out and they said that was fine?
Yeah.
Wow.
I paid him a wee bit, just like,
Yeah.
I think it was like 20 just for the rights for
That's
it.
so amazing.
But that's so cheap. And he was like, "Yeah, you can use any of this album." And I don't think he's seen the final thing, but I loved his work for years. So it's really, really cool.
Wow, that's so awesome. It just shows you, like, if you ask for these things, you never know.
You might as well ask. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. And then did you mix them in any way? Did you edit them in post, or was it just?
Yeah. So the album is from it kind of drifts into quite like manic state. So you hear the end where it's like kind of like scattery jazz in a way, or whatever. So yeah, there was a mixture of fading in, but then trying to find points in the album where it made sense, and a wee bit of editing about, and just normal sound design, I suppose.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'm going to move on to one of my own questions here, is because obviously this won the Cinematography Award at the Fans Youth Film Festival, which is hosting this whole thing last year. And yeah, obviously I was hearing you say about, when you were younger, making stuff with your friends and just enjoying it. And I assume that there's been an improvement with your cinematography since then. And as someone who's like wants to improve cinematography, what would you suggest is the best way to do that?
Gosh, I suppose editing your own stuff, at least for a little bit, because you end up realizing that with cinematography you're shooting for the edit, so you realize what cuts well together, and you can only be frustrated with yourself if you're editing your own cinematography. At least at the start, it's like handy, I think, and also learning from others, but not stealing from others. Like, so if you see experimenting, actually I'll change my answer, experimenting, I think, because half the time I was just spend messing about with the light, seeing what you can do with it, that, and just trying it out and shooting and editing some of your own stuff and experimenting with that, because you realize what cuts together. And I suppose a lot of cinematography is shooting for the edit, a lot of it. So I suppose
I find that really fascinating that editing has actually influenced your cinematography.
Yeah.
Because there's probably some people who maybe don't like editing as much, and are trying to get better at cinematography. So I think trying editing your own stuff is a pretty interesting take on things. Yeah.
I don't enjoy editing that much.
You don't enjoy it?
I enjoy it sometimes, but not massively. But I'd say it shows you, because of course when you shoot something, if you send it off to someone, and if you're just a cinematographer and not involved in the edit in any way, then you wouldn't see much of the results of how it cuts together apart from the final edit. So I'd say
that's fascinating. Yeah, awesome. All right, let's move on to, we've got another question from Fiona, and it's to do with the whole idea of creating Eaglefreik, and it's, do you have any sort of connections to bird watching? What was it that gave you the initial idea to create this?
Yeah, I do. I like, not bird watching, but I like wildlife photography. And so when I was up in Aberdeen, a lot of the time I stayed out in a village, Newmaker, and you'd have to get a bus in to go to town or whatever. So a lot of the time I did find myself just going out in like the fields and the wildlife and seeing what I can do. And there is anyone who's done it will know about. There is a feeling when you go out to go and try and like take a photograph of an animal where you kind of do have to. It's going to sound dumb, but behave a wee bit like you are part of the wildlife in a way, just to kind of like keep the animal camera, like get a good photo of it. And I just felt something about trekking out on your own to do something like that that has a kind of stoic feeling that I thought I owed to represent in some sort of film in some way.
Huh, that's neat. And then, so you said you were from Aberdeen, and obviously sort of nature photography's maybe come from being, you know, relatively close to nature. Has coming from Aberdeen and moving to Glasgow, you know, how's that affected opportunities to film stuff? You know, what kind of stuff you film, you know, stuff like that. How do you think being from Aberdeen has affected you?
Being from Aberdeen, I suppose anyone who lives in Aberdeenshire will realise just how kind of lush and like there is a lot of great environment, especially like you go out to anywhere in Aberdeenshire and you kind of realise that like there is a lot of great landscape and wildlife really, and I suppose going down to Edinburgh or Glasgow, it's great there because you get you collaborate with everyone who's down there because there's so many great filmmakers. But there's always that thing from Aberdeen where there's still there's loads of great filmmakers from Aberdeen, but there's a sense of, I feel like most filmmakers from Aberdeen get the whole the luxury of being able to go out into the Shire, and there's so many great locations. And I've noticed a lot of Aberdeen filmmakers have the outdoors in their films, and I think there's something inherent between that. I kind of forgot your question, but I think
no, you totally answered it there. So being in Aberdeen, sort of, it's made you create stuff related to the nature of where you come from, you know?
Yeah.
And then maybe what about opportunities? Do you feel like you're saying in Glasgow there's lots of filmmakers that you can meet up with, but then you're saying there's still filmmakers in Aberdeen. Do you feel disadvantaged or advantaged in Aberdeen as opposed to Glasgow, you know?
I think you can be a good filmmaker wherever you come from, and often you do get a different perspective when you do come from somewhere that's, because of course like Glasgow is like the hub for filmmaking essentially. Like you can, if you want to be a professional there is like more work in Glasgow, but from coming from Aberdeen, I found a lot of the people I work with in Glasgow are from Aberdeen, and I think I wouldn't want to start off in Glasgow. I think it was helpful to kind of go through some other cities, and you kind of get a more grasp on the whole country in a way, and you end up knowing more locations, I think, which is handy for any filmmaker because you've not just been in one city the whole time. You get to explore, and also you get fresh eyes when you go to a new city like Glasgow. If you've been in Aberdeenshire your whole life, you'll be like, oh, this bit looks good for whatever. Yeah.
Sort of related to what we're just talking about here, I'm noticing Fiona's got another question of how do you go about building a network of people to make films with? So how did you go about meeting people in Glasgow and in Aberdeen, other filmmakers?
Yeah, I suppose, well, I did do BFI. I went to the BFI, I can't remember its official title now, but I just called it
the Film Academy things.
Yeah. I didn't do the residential, but that was handy. That was kind of the first time I was able just to meet a group of filmmakers, and a lot of them I still, speak to and make stuff with to this day. That was handy. College it was actually really good for meeting folk. I've just started a production company with someone that I'm making films with at college, and yeah, that was really handy. And working on just replying to stuff on Facebook, honestly, like when folks say they need like a camera op or a production assistant, just go for it, and then you might not think, even if you get to end of something and you're like, oh, that was fun, but I don't see where it could go. It seems like every time you do like any sort of something on set, there's always been another time that I've ran into someone or another project, and it's just kind of snowballed from there. So I would just say there are opportunities out there. Just look on Facebook, go to college if you want to. You don't have to, but it's kind of handy. I've met folk from there, so yeah.
All good stuff, yeah. And we'll just keep going through these questions. The next one is from Sean, and it's about the pacing of the film, and I guess by extension the editing, on why you chose to go for a slow pace for the film.
Yeah. I felt like I'd not done it before. I'd not done something slower before. For example, like a film I did before, Box of Frogs, was kind of the information, like the whole thing. I felt like, and so I thought I'd seen a couple of other films where everyone's seen like slower paced films. I just thought, oh well, what would my take of it be, and can I do it in a way where, at least myself, when I'm like editing, do I find it interesting? And yeah, I've not thought about how it is a slower pace, but it definitely is. I've wanted to take. It's fun to just take a concept like a slower pace and see if you can do it, and see how you can do it, and in what way take your own original spin on it. And so I guess the slower pace of it ties in with the whole wildlife being in one in nature, because nature is quite slow, and then things happen very fast, and then they're slow. There's like long gaps in between. So I tried to reflect that, I think.
Very nice, very nice. And then the next question, which apparently is from the Fans Youth Film Festival, which is us, is just asking about the crew and what people you brought along to make this.
Yeah. So we had 3 days, and on the first day we just had myself and my friend Grant doing sound for a couple shots, just the few dialogue that there is, and then it was just me and Aaron, the actor, for this one. Just, we were going to get a couple more crew. It'd be nice to have a gaffer and an AC, but 2 people we asked to do it couldn't do it, and we thought, it was like a day before they said they couldn't do it, and we thought, let's just go for it. See what happens.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
That happens though. You made it through, and you could hardly tell.
Oh, well, again.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Like, even if you could rearrange it, but then the actor couldn't do it for like the next 4 weeks, and we thought, fuck it, man, let's just go for it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
No, sweet. And we've got a few questions that seem to be about, which sort of blends nicely into talking about your future and where you're heading from here. We've got, is there a prequel to Box of Frogs from Jack?
Massive. No, there's not.
No, you get a simple no for that, Jack.
No.
And then Alex is asking, do you plan to make any more robot-based films?
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Maybe for that one.
Might speak in the background of a few things. But,
yeah, cool. And then I'll just go ahead and you mentioned you've made a production company. That stood out to me. With your friends.
Yeah. That's just getting started. We've not announced anything yet.
No,
but,
nothing announced. Oh, have we got the
the hot take?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say more about that later. But
I'm not pressy anymore.
Okay.
What about short films and stuff in the future then? Do you have any projects you're working on, or you did a music video after making Eaglefreik?
Yeah. I did do a music video for a band, Eaglefreik, which is on Vimeo, about future stuff. I was lucky enough to get Box of Frogs on Amazon Prime.
Oh wow, well done.
So, yeah, so you can watch it there if you want, which would be cool if folk did. And from there, I've just written another short, which might turn into something maybe a wee bit longer than the short. Who knows? And I'm going to see what I can do with that. But I'm definitely still making stuff. And if you wanted to keep up to date with any of that, I'd post that on my Facebook or Instagram. So it would be there.
And what's your handle for people?
On Instagram, it's Louis MRTN000, and on Facebook, it's Louis Martin DP. If you type in Louis Martin Director / cinematographer, it should come up, and I'll be sure to post on there. And yeah, for now, I'm just writing. I'm getting ready to shoot another short soon, depending on what happens with COVID. But yeah, always making stuff. A lot of music videos recently. Getting ready for more shorts, and a documentary as well. But that'll be later.
Wow, there's a lot of things. There's lots of things on just on the go.
Yeah, might as well.
Oh, sweet. Well, you've sort of done my job there of plugging yourself up and saying where to watch them. So thank you very much, Louis Martin. Check out his handles. Check out Box of Frogs on Amazon Prime. Did you say it was on?
Yeah.
Check it out. It's really good. I think most of us have seen it from the Fantasy Film Festival team. So yeah, give that a watch. And yeah, thanks very much for talking about your film and letting us screen it.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.